Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to a special election edition of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey. I am your host, and I am so glad that you took the time to join me and my guest as we talk about the upcoming election. And I'm pleased to be joined by Marilyn Weiss. Marilyn, how are you doing today?
Bob?
And I would like to tell our viewers that you are running for the open seat on our school committee. You are a candidate, and the school committee seat is open because former member Katie Adair had to resign as she moved out of town. Correct. So it's open, and you're looking to fill the spot.
I am.
So it's a one-year seat.
It is.
But you've always been part of the schools. I always, when I think of schools, I picture Marilyn. So why don't we give you an opportunity to tell us why you're doing this and your experience in the schools?
It started way back in 2008, maybe. It's been 17 years. 2008. 1998. Good start. 1998. My daughter was a kindergartner, and I think I began as a room parent. And from there, I would pick up any of the committees that didn't have anyone in charge of. I would help out with, whether it be the floats, the parade floats, Red Ribbon. Someone retired and it wasn't going to happen anymore. I don't know if you're familiar with the Red Ribbon,
yes.
the DARE program.
Oh, yes.
We would do that every September, October. We'd work with Stop and Shop and Coach McManus at Burrows School, and would have the kids write all their no drugs, no cigarettes, no alcohol, their bags. They actually started at Shaw's. Stop and Shop was not here back then. It was not.
That's right.
It was not here.
That's right.
Rochelle's was here. So we started at Shaw's. We started working with Stop and Shop and Coach McManus, and we'd have a whole program dedicated to the DARE program. We actually used to have a DARE program in the middle school, but that we didn't have the funds anymore for the DARE officer. From there, I progressed to. I just should say I've probably had my hands in most,
Well, I
if
was
not
going
all,
to say that one of the
committee.
great things in our schools, and probably just a reality in any school system, is that if there are parents who want to be involved, there's no end to the things that you can be involved with. So now maybe it's a natural progression, but
Absolutely.
it seems as though you, with the kids being older, maybe you have time now. And I think that's always the big challenge of anybody who volunteers down. I used to be a selectman here in town, and my children were younger, and that was the challenge. It was to find the time, because there's no such thing as just an hour-long meeting,
No.
and that's definitely not what the role is, as you know.
No.
So let's talk about on the school committee. There's going to be some things that you want to do, and some challenges, and some things that you want to bring to the table. So. You know, we were talking a little bit ahead of time, and I suppose the biggest thing in any school system is preparing our kids for college. So let's talk about that.
Well, we have hired a technology specialist, so we're working on cutting edge technology. We've made all the schools wireless. They're very limited in the elementary schools. It increases when you get to the middle school, and it's all wireless up in the high school. The middle schools, I believe, are also able to bring their laptops and iPads. I know the high school is full of that. And we also have cows, which are computers on wheels for anyone who does not have computers. So there is the accessibility to everyone, even children that can't afford laptops or computers. We do have the availability.
So then in Foxborough, one of the things that has always sticks with me is just the incredible commitment that we have to computers and putting the technology in the schools. And maybe, you know, people don't always think of technology being something other than computers, but the boardless markers, the
whiteboards.
The white walls, yes.
We actually have a fabulous program in the high school. There's a group of kids, it's called iSchool, and I think there's probably 7 kids.
iSchool.
Yes, are you familiar with it?
I am not.
It is fabulous.
Is it?
These kids are taking it upon themselves to take on a project, something that needs to be taken care of. One is contact on buses. I can't remember the little girl's name. I think it's Brightman. This is going to be hard to explain. If it's a snowy day and your kids are outside waiting for the bus, and the bus is held up a half hour, but your kids are sitting out there at 6:30 in the morning, it's pitch black.
Yep.
There's a way of, almost like a GPS system, that tracks, and it goes to your phone, your cell phones. It's not in fruition yet.
Yeah,
yes, this is something she's working on.
But see, that is so
It's
cool.
their creative minds doing this.
There you go.
And then there is another student that is teaching the teachers how to use the technology, since these children were born with technology in their hands.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that, because the joke is always that, well, if I want to figure out how to program my phone, I have to get my kids involved.
Absolutely.
And I had an opportunity to have my nephew and his family over, and it was amazing. The little 2-year-old nephew of mine, grandnephew, I guess you would call him, great kid, super kid, and he has my cell phone out and he's thumbing through.
Figuring it all out.
Faster than I can do.
Yes.
And I like to think I'm fairly adept, and obviously I'm not.
You're not.
And he was amazingly able to get into certain things that
You weren't familiar with.
Well, not only that, but I didn't want him to get into it, but he was able to do that. He was trying to find a movie, and he just knew which icons to get. And so it just shows that generationally we need to be far advanced.
Yes.
No matter what we are doing today, we need to be more advanced for tomorrow, because the technology is always going to change.
Correct.
And
Constantly.
tomorrow's technology today, that's
gone.
Not only is it a piece on WBZ, but you're right, it is
Yes.
gone.
Yep.
And so we have to be prepared. So technology is a huge piece of what happens tomorrow. And you're talking about, you know, how to be competitive and cutting edge in the classroom. So what does that really mean to be competitive?
It just means keeping up with the technology. We do have a technology specialist who's always reviewing the curriculum. So I believe we're hiring one more to add to that.
Okay, in the 2015-2016
I believe
budget,
so. Yep,
right?
yep, I believe so.
And that is a funded position, and what will end up happening is that person will be supporting students, supporting teachers.
I would say it would be a curriculum overview. I really am not familiar with exactly what their position is going to be.
But curriculum overview
Right.
is
Diane
a key
Castilli,
piece
so.
of creating the classes and
Correct.
making it for tomorrow. So that's great to see that our school system is investing in that. So you'd be supportive of that?
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So part of that is making sure that our kids are ready for college. And or
Military.
not everybody's going to go to college, are they?
Absolutely. There's going to be hands-on people. We need tradesmen. I'm sorry, I need to call a plumber someday. I hope they're not just all college students that are going into the corporate world.
Well, you know, I would also say that agriculture, the vocational schools,
so many things.
There's many different avenues for
And
success.
different learners.
But and I suppose maybe it's because statistically we're driven by a college application mentality of we have X percentage of our students going on to college, that means we're successful. But really isn't a measure of success more that our kids are prepared for the adult world and whatever they're going to do, that they're prepared with the tools. So whether it's at the Voc school, at the agricultural school, or just taking a general ed course here at the college, at the high school that prepares them for a career.
Correct.
That's key, isn't it?
It is, and that's where Common Core comes into place, because that's teaching critical thinking versus rote memorization.
So let's talk about Common Core.
Okay, what would you like to know?
I don't know a thing about it.
Okay, Common Core was implemented in our school system 4 years ago. It was adopted by the state, and it was mandated.
So this is not MCAS, this is...
No, that's assessment testing.
Okay.
That's two separate issues. Common Core, actually, they're two separate issues, however, it's testing our curriculum. The Massachusetts states that adopted, Massachusetts and California are the highest ranking states in the country.
Okay.
People get nervous when they hear Common Core, because why would we need to be a standardized versus lesser states that need to be raised up, and everyone thinks that we're lowering it. We are not. Each town gets to raise it 15% to go around their own curriculum. We have raised it, and our numbers have been going up. There are some slight dips, which are constantly being reviewed, but it's a constant. It's not something that's just being ignored. It's constantly being reviewed at all
So
levels.
Common Core is the curriculum.
Correct.
And the curriculum's intent is to... The intention of Common Core is to
teach critical thinking.
Okay.
Versus rote memorization.
Okay.
Yes.
The interesting thing about that is the critical thinking, I don't want to say the critical thinking mindset, but some people would think it's common sense, where, oh, well, I have a problem, this is how I get to it. But that's not necessarily the case, is it?
No, you do multiple choices on the MCAS versus like the new trial of PARC, which is not, everyone's nervous. They think we are taking the PARC. We are not taking the PARC.
I'm going to ask you about PARC in a second.
Okay, well, that's all part of it, because the critical thinking is being given in the Common Core. The MCAS is assessing how we are doing with our curriculum, which was mandated by the state. it's 16 years old. It needs to either be revamped or a new one needs to be put into place. So they've been testing the PARC testing, which is career readiness assessment.
Okay.
So college and career assessment. And what happens is the MCAS testing was more multiple choice. The PARC testing is all on computers. People are all nervous. We do have it. There are glitches. You got a choice whether you want to try it. Each town got offered. A lot of towns backed out, so people think they denied the PARC. The PARC isn't in existence. It's being revised as we're going along. We started last year. The juniors tested it along with the mandated MCAS, which
Okay.
they need to take.
So PARC
in
is
order
a
to graduate.
testing.
Yes,
an
but it's not
assessment
here
tool.
yet. But it's not here yet. It's in the testing
But
stages.
it's in the testing stage, yes.
Correct. And we were smart to take it on because we're going to get all the glitches. Every day Diane was on the phone to the Department of Education. Well, you know, on the computer, if you have the keyboard on blah, 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 you know, every day there's just phone calls constantly from whatever schools are testing it. This year we did it in more grade levels. Last year I believe it was just the high school level. This year we went all the way down on them. And it's a good way of seeing what the glitches are. If it were to be mandated, we are going to be ahead of the curve because we've already taken the test versus towns that denied it.
You know, it's interesting. The company I work for is a large corporation, and there are new technology initiatives all the time.
Correct.
And several times I've been on the beta projects, and we've been working to, integrate and work through the issues. And I've always found that when we did that, my teams were ahead of the bell curve when it came to integration and implementation and being comfortable using the new technology and integrating into our daily workflow to eliminate risk and increase productivity. So I guess if we take the corporate world lessons and put them in the educational system, this is what we're doing here.
Right. And it's not, it's causing so much anxiety. Assessment testing is assessing our teaching of our curriculum. And people put it on their children thinking that it's testing their knowledge. I mean, it is, it's testing, but how we're teaching it to them.
But the assessment tool is measuring a different measurable objective, which isn't necessarily answering, as you point out, multiple choice questions.
Yes.
It's
making you think about it.
Assessing how they think about it and how they
many
analyze
ways.
and how they create the solution.
Yeah, and there's many ways to get to that one answer too.
Well, I will tell you, one of the reasons why I like doing Foxborough Central is because I get to learn new things, and thank you very much.
You're
so
welcome.
I appreciate it. And again, I'm talking with Marilyn Weiss, who's a candidate for the open seat on our school committee. It's a one-year term, and I know that you will be going down to the polls on May 4th, voting at the area middle school, which is open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I know that Marilyn is hoping that you'll cast your vote in her favor, right?
Of course.
That's why we're here. So let's talk about other things other than college readiness and alternates to college. Let's talk about the rigorous curriculum. There's an issue in the schools of, is it too much, is it too little, is the school day too long? Do we have a schedule that meets our children's needs? What do you think about where we're at right now, and do we need to change? Are we in a good place? Debbie Spinelli is our current superintendent. I love her to pieces.
Our administration is unbelievable. They are always on top of everything. Our curriculum directors, Diane Casilli, Allison Mello, they put so many new programs into our school. I don't know if you're familiar with Exchange City. I'm assuming your son did that. And
Absolutely,
that
yes.
started the year I was president at for the Parent Advisory Council.
Okay.
And so I've worked with Allison, and my son's a junior, and I still go back every year and do all the interviewing. She calls me every year to work on it because we started that year. So that means it's been in place for about 8 years
Well,
now.
let's talk about that.
That's unbelievable.
Viewers at home, I think this is one of those WIN programs that not everybody knows about, but they really should be educated on. I love talking about this. So Exchange City, what is it?
It's a program that used to be run by Johnson & Wales. I'm not sure that's where they either moved the campus. It's run by a university or a business. Every year, the students have part of their curriculum. They learn.
I think Wheaton also has been.
Wheaton is one of them
Yep,
too? Okay,
I
that must be
think
the new ones. Because I've only been doing the interviewing end. I used to go to the program. Now I've just been doing the interviewing the last several years. Which the interviewing is, the kids take a class. It's part of their curriculum. They learn how to run businesses. They get offered, let's just pick a number, 10 or 12 different job positions in a fictional town. So they have to study what the position qualifications are. They have to interview for the position. So I would go in every year and fill in for whatever companies. We would we'd ask for volunteers from different corporations around the local area. to come in, whether it's newscasters, whether it's Foxborough Reporter, whether it's the Patriot Place Showcase Live. The post office comes in, the police come in, and we would interview the children for different positions, and we'd rate them on the way they're dressed, their professionalism, whether they shook your hand, whether they look you in the eye. It's teaching children real-world skills.
Interviewing skills,
Yeah.
Job holding skills.
Unbelievable, and they run the business. They have to. A lot of them don't make all their money back. There is a nonprofit there every year, so they try to raise the money, and the real money goes to it every year.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's just a real
It's
good
a short
learning
program,
skill.
yes.
It's the year before Career Day, because Career Day is in 8th grade. So 7th grade is when they do that. 8th grade is when they do the Career Day, natural progression, and that's when all the different companies come in and they show them whether it's going into the military, going into the trades, going into businesses. And the kids go pick which classes they want. They pick 3 or 4 classes, and they go into that. So we have a natural progression of teaching real-world skills also, along with the technology, along with our music programs, along with our art programs. We are really, really, I'm blessed to be in this school system. My kids went the entire time to the Foxborough Public School System.
And let's talk about family. Who is in the family?
My daughter's a senior at Rhode Island School of Design.
Okay.
She's a graphic designer, and she won an entrepreneur, the Rhode Island Business Plan, competing with all different schools with a Brown University entrepreneur class. And she came in 3rd place in the state of Rhode Island. She's been interning with IBM, and she'll be going to Microsoft. They've been scouting her for a couple of years.
Fantastic.
And my son's a junior, and he's leaning toward law. We're starting to focus
He's a
on
junior
this
here
now.
in the school
yes,
system
he is
right
at
now?
the high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent,
So
excellent.
everyone's doing really well.
So you and your husband Bob are
We've been together 34 years.
proud parents and everything's going well. That's fantastic. 34 years, well,
Yeah, we've lived here for 20. We're very, very happy that we moved here.
well, Foxborough's lucky to have you. So
Thank you.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to say the top thing you'd like to accomplish if elected, but while we're waiting on you to think of that answer, going to remind you that you can look up Marilyn Weiss on Facebook. Just type in Marilyn Weiss for Foxborough School Committee, and she will pop up, and you can be her friend. She can be your friend. I don't understand Facebook, but I'm sure you'll figure it out, folks. You can also email her at mamabear and the number 4, mamabear4 at verizon.net, or you can call her at 508-543-4131. She'd love to hear from you, answer any questions, host a coffee, support her campaign. That's why we're here, right? So if you're elected to Foxborough School Committee, Marilyn, what is the number one thing you want to accomplish?
I want to make sure that each and every child gets touched with the chance to be successful in life. I think everyone should have that opportunity, as I was saying before, not just college, military, real-world skills, trade skills. And I just want to make sure that every kid finds their niche. And it seems to be the case by the time they get to high school. They have so many offerings up there. We have virtual high school. So I think that's my main goal. I want everyone to be successful in life.
That's a great objective, and I'm going to give you the last word as we close because we are so running out of time. But I'd like to remind you folks, again, come down to the polls on Monday, May 4th. Your vote counts, and your voice should be heard. And you can make it heard at the Hearn Middle School from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And after you've made your voice heard, you can hear my voice, my dulcet tones, as we bring you live election coverage. I like when you laugh. Live election coverage at the polls. We'll be broadcasting on this very Foxborough Cable Access channel, looking for you to find out what happened today, whenever that day is, May 4th, on the election results. So Marilyn, it's so nice of you to take the time to join us, and I'd like to give you the opportunity for the last word.
I really appreciate your giving me this opportunity to speak tonight, and vote for Marilyn Weiss on Monday, May 4th.
You heard it here, and if you missed any of this message, feel free to look us back up on the web at www.fcatv.org. On behalf of all the volunteers here at Foxborough Cable Access, I'd like to thank you for taking time to watch us. I'd like to thank Marilyn Weiss for volunteering the Run for School Committee, and hope that you will make your voice heard at the polls. Until we see you at the polls, take care, Foxborough.